Hi everyone, welcome to our revolving costs lecture where we are going to be completing the system for our revolving costs. Now revolving costs are, your food, your gas, things that change on you each month. And we're going to kind of walk through actually completing the system, but also how to come up with those numbers. So our goals for this lecture are to learn how to determine the amount for various revolving costs and completing the revolving cost portion of the spreadsheet. So let's consider a couple questions when we are trying to determine the amount of the revolving cost categories, okay? This could be, how many people do I need to feed every week? Do we like to eat out a lot or cook at home? How much do we drive per week in miles? How many tanks does that equate to? How many people in my household need spending money? Or even, do we have a charity that we want to contribute to? How much do we want to contribute each month? These are all very, very good questions, and you need to have those in your mind before we continue. If we look at food first, we are looking at those kind of questions of how many people do I need to feed every week, and do we like to eat out a lot or cook at home? On average, people spend about 9 to 14% of their income on food. And the USDA actually reports that a family of two will spend between $90 and $179 per week on food. Now, that is a huge gap between 90 and 179. 90 is more of your very, very thrifty households, and 179 are more of those people who like to spend money on their food. They like to be a little bit more lavish. So you can be anywhere in there for a family of two. Now, a family of four, they actually spend between $130 and $299 per week on food. Now, again, it's the same situation. You have the very thrifty families at $130 and the more lavish at $299 per week. So that's a family of four. And obviously, some kids eat more than others, some don't eat a whole lot. Everybody's household's going to look a little bit different, so you really need to kind of determine how much money do I need to set aside in order to be able to feed my family. Now, I've got a truth or myth for you. Both eating out and cooking at home can cost the same. Now, this is a common misconception. Most people feel that this would be a myth, but it's actually truth. It really depends on where you allot your money. Now, if you eat out a lot, but you want to stick to that more thrifty budget, you're probably going to eat at really low cost places. Now, that may mean in the grocery store, you may spend a little bit more. I mean, it really depends, because you can spend a lot in both places, or you can spend a little in both places. So they don't have to be the same amount, and it doesn't have to be costing you more to eat out. Now, I do find from personal experience, you could usually get a little bit more food for your money if you go to the grocery store. But again, it's really your lifestyle. So really, your food budget can be the same whether you like to eat out or cook at home. It just depends on what you like to eat. Now, looking at our gas section, this was answering how much do we drive per week in miles, and how many tanks does that equal each month, or each week, excuse me. University of Michigan did a study that showed in 2013 the average household used 1,011 gallons of gas per year. That's roughly about 19 gallons per week. Now, I'm going to give you a formula that I don't want you to lose you on this, but it's a formula that will help you determine what your figure should be for your household. You're first going to take the number of gallons your vehicle holds. So traditionally, for these first two things, when you buy your car, they're going to tell you it has, 15 miles per gallon, or it's got 15 gallons. It holds 15 gallons. And then how many miles per gallon it gets. These two things, usually when you buy your car, they're going to tell you. So you're going to take the number of gallons your vehicle holds times the number of miles to the gallon your vehicle gets, and that's going to give you the number of miles you can go on a tank of gas. Okay, so we're going to take that and we're going to divide it by the number of miles you drive per month. So you need to look at how many miles it's to and from work, how much you drive outside of work in that one vehicle. And you're going to total all that together for that number. And then you're going to times all of this by 30. And that's going to get you the number of days between your fill-ups. So you're going to have to fill up every 15 days or every 3 days or every 10 days, whatever it is. So let's do the math. So the number of gallons your vehicle holds, say it holds 15 gallons, and we're going to times that by the number of gallons your vehicle gets, and say it gets 20 miles per gallon. And then we're going to divide that by the number of miles per month you drive and times that by 30. And that's going to get you the number of days between fill-ups, so that's 10. Now, we're going to take that number and we're going to do 30 divided by the number of days per fill-up, so 30 divided by, in this case, 10. And that's going to get you a certain number. And this could have decimal points or not. And you want to round that up to the nearest whole number. So if it's 2.9, it's going to be rounded up to 3. Now, if it's 3.1, go ahead and round it up to 4. And then we're going to times that by the average cost it costs you to fill up your gas tank. So if it costs you $50 to fill up your gas tank, that's the number you put here. And that's going to get you the total monthly cost of gas for that vehicle. So let's do the math. 30 divided by 10 equals, remember we're rounding up, 3 times the average cost to fill up your tank, which in this case, $35. And that's going to get you $105 cost for gas per month for this vehicle. So you want to do this for each vehicle that you drive in your household. And this really, you have to make sure if you've got children who drive, you are accounting for their mileage. You really have to be very specific with this. And then once you have this equation filled out for both or all the vehicles in your household, just add them all together, and that gets you the amount that you need to allot for gas in your budget. Now let's look at our personal budget. This answer is how many people in my household need spending money. This is very, very personal, but on average, households spend right around 5% on entertainment and personal expenses each month. Now, your entertainment is your obvious, going to the movies, you're, just palling around town and wanting to go for a drive, whatever it is. Your personal expenses could be what you want it to be. It could just be what you want to set aside so you can go places, or that you want to make sure you've got a clothing budget, or you're going to need new shoes every month, or whatever it is. It's specifically budgeted for you and you alone. Now you want to divide that 5% by the number of people you need spending money. Now obviously if you've got 4 people in the household, 3 of them are adults or teenagers, they're going to probably be fairly equal. And then say you've got a 2-year-old. Well, unless you're buying clothes for that 2-year-old every month, which you might be, they may not equal the same amount. So you can divide that 5% however you want between the household members, depending on their need. Now, if we look at our religious and charitable contributions, this was answering, do we have a charity that we want to contribute to? How much do we want to contribute each month? Traditionally on a budget, they will allow 8 to 10% of monthly income for religious and charitable contributions. This amount can be combined or separate. So you can have 10% for religious tithing and 8% for charity, or 10% for charity, whatever you want. You can add those together, or you can say I'm taking 5% for religious contributions and 5% for charity, and equaling total 10%. So you just need to make sure you know what you want to contribute to and how much you want to contribute to it. Now, our savings, a good starting place for budgeting savings is 10% of your monthly income. Again, with the religious tithing and things like that, it's usually 10%. This is 10%. I usually equal the same in both areas. My recommendation is to put back the amount that you are saving just after you pay your religious and charitable contributions and before you pay your other expenses. This ensures that you are actually saving that money and that you're not just waiting to see if you have any left to be able to put towards your savings. So you want your savings to be there in case you need it, not, well, I'm going to put back whatever I have left, because you'll just always find a place to spend it if you do it that way. And keep it in a separate savings account, and don't just leave it in your checking account and just expect you to always have a good buffer there, because you'll always spend what's in there. Now, once we have all of those answers, we basically need to put them in a list. So what we'll need is a list of the amounts to be budgeted. So we'll have our list of the amounts per category, and we have our monthly budget spreadsheet. We basically need to fill it in as we have before. It's going to total for us specifically. You don't need to do that yourself. It'll just do it automatically. So let's take a look at our lecture goals again and make sure we actually completed what we set out to do. We had learn how to determine an amount for various revolving costs. We definitely did that. And completing the revolving cost portion of the spreadsheet. We did that as well. So congratulations, we finished our lecture. Now looking at what is coming up, we are going to go over evaluating our system. So we're going to basically look at, is this budget, is it working? Is it balanced? Is there any changes we need to make? And just really evaluating where it is and where it needs to be. So I hope you guys have enjoyed this, and I'll see you in the next lecture.